checkbox where? Just like that? Is that correct?
Good evening, Synergy PWR viewers across the world. Welcome to Synergy PWR People's World Racing, and we are here for the next round of the Synergy PWR Season 3 World Championship Formula 1, and it is Division 1's turn now around the Baku Street Circuit in Azerbaijan, and it's really nice to be here as well, actually, with a very classy run from the Red Bull driver of SF1 Shaw's last night Division 2, managing to claw back to a very decent third place position alongside your teammate Resolutionary in second place. Good evening to yourself, sir.
Hello.
Nice to have you on board for this race, and sitting in the background for the directing duties, he's manually just chipping in every so often, is the driver who left out of the race last night in very close. Good evening to yourself, sir.
Good evening.
Thank you very much for getting involved for this particular session. We're going to be heading into this Q2 with 11 runners in this Division 1 tonight. Sector 1 yellow flag's already waved, unsure for where this may be.
Hypernova getting out the way of Atomic.
That's okay, see, we're going to be obviously heading through 11 drivers now, heading into this Q2 session. One driver to be knocked out, and then 10 will go through to the Q3 session. Of course, this Q2 session means everyone is going to be setting laps to start there to potentially use their tyre for starting the race on. And for yourself, actually, Sean, so you ended up having to make a change of strategy to a bit of wing damage, and
yes,
see, that is going to be detrimental effect to yourself around a track like this. It's so easy to make a mistake around Baku, and if you do make a mistake, it usually costs you quite heavily.
Indeed, especially around the castle section. Got to be so careful going through there. 100%.
Your
One mess
teammate
up and you've lost your whole wing.
Say your teammate Resolutionary also made a mistake, lost a bit of her front wing as well, and ended up losing the race, winning to PWR Shadow in the end. Now Division 2 looking very spicy at the moment, actually, in the division, with PWR Shadow now having finally his race win. He's up to 81, Nicholas 50, HB Espresso 43, and then yourself and Hamster both tied on 38. So you've just off the promotion spots heading into round number 5 at Spain. So you should expect really the track being a little bit easier than Baku, less mistakes potentially happen. You're fighting for promotion this season.
See, I don't know, to be honest. Like, I don't think I have the exact pace, but 100% we'll be going for it. There's no doubt about it. I think me and Hamster are both equally matched, so it'll be interesting. Let's just say that.
Laps coming through thick and fast at the moment. A couple of changes happening as well around the field as regards of seating arrangements. SV Bradford making the suggestion for move for SV Pagoo, who leaves the Alfa Romeo seat, and he moves to Renault. So now the collectively SV Bradford coming across the line with 1 minute 40.2 on the set of hard. Not a bad lap, actually, from the Cynical Velocity driver. But now we technically have an SV constructor in Synergy PWR Division 1 in Cynical Velocity Renault. So SV Bradford and Pagoo sitting next to each other. Hypernova sitting alongside Notchel F1. Notchel not racing tonight though due to quote-unquote personal circumstances. VOR Dan has crashed out of this session, so we will have our top 10, and it's crashed just before turn 14. So yeah, a bit of a shocking incident there for the Toro Rosso. So he'll be starting from the back, but the drivers all have the 107% rule to follow. So of course, it doesn't mean that these drivers can now just do very slow laps in and around the area. Of course, they will have to progress onwards and complete a lap within 107% of the fastest lap. Currently set by Sviatkoke in the Red Bull, 1 minute 39.5. His teammate 1 minute 40.0, 5/10 of a second down on the same tyre.
All Bradford's lost an end plate going through castle section.
It is, I think he might be on an in lap actually, so certainly not going to affect him too badly, you'd hope. But make note as well, these drivers now having to move to full damage. We always made a bit of a mistake, as SV Bradford as Hoonigan has also retired from the session. I believe he's retired from the session on his own accord actually. I don't know why he's done that. But yeah, he has retired out. So SV Bradford has made a mistake heading into turn 14, so now he's having to do a million-point turn to get himself out of here. But yeah, I was saying about drivers now coping with full damage. rather than a normal simulation. Does that affect the racing overall, did you feel, Sean, in the last race in Division 2, or did you feel that overall there was not much difference in the racing, just that it was a lot easier to get away with mistakes?
It was. See, this is where it gets difficult because there's places around the track where you think, oh, you could get away with it, but then there's corners that can just catch you out like, at any time, any moment, where you could just lose a wheel or anything. But it's still just going to affect your race completely. Like one little mistake and it's gone.
It's going to be an interesting one to see how the drivers cope as well, and see if there's going to be any differences in the racecraft and raceability of the drivers. Now they have less things to worry about, as more Sector 3 yellow flag stuff. I believe that's for a very slow Sphere Cookie, actually. I think he's actually out of fuel going around here at the moment. One hot lap happening at the moment, though, and that is from SV Pagoo. Although Scartrick's actually on a lap himself, and he's 1.4 seconds down, on his lap time. He'll come across the line, and he sets a 1 minute 39.8 on hard tyres. It's a good lap from the Ferrari. Doing quite well as well in Division 1 on his debut here into the GPWR People's World Racing's debut season. Rather currently in second place. DNF to China, but a first and a second place those two races. Hopefully he'll bounce back and give a bit of a battle happening with the current champion and current defending champion rather, and the current leader in the tournament in Sphere Cookie. Currently 2 wins in a row for him. But we still have one driver on his hot lap at the moment, and that is SV Pagoo. It is full damage, as we said, and we did actually see him clip a wall. I saw him clip a wall, heading through into turn 5, but I think he's just got away with it, and he's now coming around the final selection of corners. He's going to be heading through now onto the main straight after turn 20. The question is where is he going to put that Renault, and where is he going to be putting himself overall? And the standings on those medium tyres is only 39.9, so yeah, it's still very close stuff. 39.6, 39.8, 39.9, 39.9, 40.0. So indeed, we've got some interesting laps coming in here as drivers letting people through at turn 2. People are now starting their laps. It's going to be surely an interesting one. Going back to the race that happened in Division 2 last night yourself, Sean, you managed to get yourself solid P3 in the end from the comeback. Did you expect to be able to get onto the podium having to make that extra stop, or were you just sort of driving and going for the best you could?
Right, so I was going to go for one stop, but then I think getting the wing damage at lap 9 kind of basically told me to go on to the 2 stop, which it was a quicker strategy, 100%. Just a shame I couldn't get the fastest lap as well, getting held up by PWR Hamster and Mike. But they were having a great. It was just a great battle between all 3 of us, to be honest. It made the race more interesting at the end, especially the last like 3-4 laps. But I would say 2 stop is probably the quickest strategy to do around here.
Certainly an interesting track. It was an interesting race as well. 18 people showed up in that Division 2 race. Did that help you with the experience of racing in Div 2, or did you was it a bit more of a nuisance racing with more drivers around you?
I mean, starting from the front, it didn't really make a difference personally. Like, after the wing damage, I basically had the track to myself, so I couldn't see anyone in front of me or behind me apart from Purple Haze. But, like, obviously I was in the same party, and, like, she knew she didn't want to fight me because I was on fresh tyres and everything. But apart from that, it was just like a normal race. I controlled it, took my time going around corners. Pretty much it, to be honest. It's like, so I didn't really get to see halfway through the grid and that, so I mean, it was a good race. It was a very good race indeed.
Person that we're going to be watching now, the PWR Jenny Gooch in the Alfa Romeo. He just started his hot lap. He's reserve driver, not racing in the Alfa Romeo, but as regards racing where he can. He's racing in nutshell seat tonight. Racing in the Alfa Romeo, heading through turn 4 into turn 5, and a bit of a lock-up, and a lock-up on the rear as well. He's got a very poor setup on, I feel, if he's losing the rear end there. He's going through now into 6 and then into the 5 into 6 and then 7 at the bottom. And very intriguing track this is here at Azerbaijan. Very close, but then there's a few corners where you've got plenty of space to be able to make overtakes. Turn 1 being one of those corners where we saw a bit of a battle happening between Vic and Resolutionary at turn 1. Controversial stuff from the eyes of Vic, and good racing from the others. The Stuart Shaw will be taking a look at it if there are any clips indeed to take a look at. But for now, we'll talk about that later on because we've got Div 1 to deal with, and now we have Jenny Gooch heading through the final sector, heading through turn 15 into 16, and then the seventh long sweeping left, right, of 17, 18 and 19 before heading through onto 20. Only one person retiring out of this session because of a crash, and that's BOR Dan. Hoonigan also out as well, but he will not be setting a lap. He will be starting from P10 because he hasn't set a lap time within 107% of the fastest lap. One person that will, though, as it stands, is Jenny Gooch. He comes across the line and he puts himself onto with a 39.5 on the soft tyres. But he did make a few mistakes through the first and second sector. He could have been well and truly on the way to P2, but we've got plenty of drivers just electing to start on soft. Type Nova goes fastest with a 38.0. So we've got a lot of people deciding to start on softs, which we didn't really see a lot of in Division 2. It's going to really mix up the transition periods for a lot of these drivers and their tyres.
And mainly a load of people going on to the two-stop strategy, of course. But as I said, it's definitely the quicker strategy, 100%.
Certainly going to be one to watch throughout this session. Of course, we've got Sean with me throughout this race, and obviously he'll be giving his analysis from his point of view, driving for the Red Bull. Yourself, though, you've been in Synergy now. This is your first full proper season in Synergy. You've raced on prior circumstances in Season 2 of Division 2. Resolutionary came into your team last minute after your alternate LR Tyre decided to retire due to personal circumstances. Resolutionary came in, and the last couple of races out-qualified and has outraced you. You feel like this is going to be a bit of a mixed bag of racing between the two of you, where you think, I'll be faster here and she'll be fast there, or do you feel that you're well and truly going to be on the back foot? It's your job to try and catch up to Resolutionary's pace. What's your stance on that at the moment?
At the minute, I'm getting carried, to be honest. But this is quick, very quick, like ridiculously quick. But I think there's going to be some tracks I will be able to out-qualify her, but as you saw in the Div 2 Azerbaijan quali, I was only a 10th off her in lap time, so I'm not quite sure. I think the pace is there. I can definitely gain pace, but as I'm like trying to learn manual gears as well because I am on the automatic. I'm trying to learn manual gears, which will make me quicker, 100%. But let's just see where it goes. I think Spain next week. It's one of my strong points, so I think I'll do well there.
Cross-divisional teammate, if you will, in Atomic Ship, who has just managed to drive straight underneath the car of Jenny Gooch. That was a very odd thing to happen. I'm recording that one. That was beautiful. Your cross-divisional teammate in Atomic Ship managed to come across the line. He's also on a set of softs as well. 1 minute 38.3 for him. But as it stands, we are going straight through into Q3, and Hoonigan will be the person that gets knocked out for not setting a lap time. BOR Dan will start P10 because he did set a lap, but he will not be going through into Q3, but he will be forced to start on those medium tyres. So he does not have a strategy choice here, whereas Hoonigan does. But the rest of the field, though, Hypernova setting the prime position lap time here with a 1 minute 38.0. Atomic Ship in the Red Bull, 1 minute 38.3. And the sister Red Bull, Sphere Cookie, on the medium tyre, 39.5. It's 1.2 seconds down. And then you got Jenny Gooch on the softs, 39.5. Scartrix, 39.6. SV Pagoo with a 39.9. AMS Bianchi, 39.9. 40.2 for Simpri and a 40.2 for SV Bradford on the hards. We've got a couple of hards, a few mediums, and a few softs. So it's very wide strategy choices happening here for these drivers tonight.
Very indeed.
Jota, I was on board with SV Bradford, and he was actually going to set a lap on the medium tyre, but during the ending phase of the second sector, he just lost traction and broke his front wing.
Oh, shocking stuff. So Bradford was on about swapping over to a medium tyre, and I didn't see that, but obviously you're the streamer, you managed to catch that. So he was heading through on the medium tyre to change his strategy to start on a medium, but now he's going to be forced to start on a hard. From your perspective then, Vic, do you feel that that's going to change his approach to the race then, knowing he's going to be on the hard tyre to start with?
I think it could be an advantage for him, and it could also be a bit of a disadvantage for him, because starting on the hard, it means you can go further into the race, you have more options for your strategy. However, it also means if there's an early safety car or if you get front wing damage, then it's just a bad strategy because you start on the hard and those are the tyres you want to take if you get wing damage, because then you can go to the end of the race. But of course, starting on them, if you get front wing damage, then it's going to be a tricky race from there on.
And being next to the Caspian Sea, Baku and Azerbaijan is quite significant for the potential of rain. And making note of this one, we do actually have a prediction of rain in this race. I'm not sure if we will be starting with wet conditions. You assume not, because the drivers have set times on different tyre compounds and not just gone straight onto a set of softs because they'll be starting on inters. So if there is a rain period and it comes in around about sort of lap 15 to lap 18-ish, surely SV Bradford is going to be on the better strategy, being on the hards, and actually him spinning out might have been a bit of a saving grace for him if that rain period comes quite late.
Is this for me or Sean?
No, same for you, Vic. Yeah, just saying from this rain period that's potentially predicted yourself. You think that wouldn't be that the potential for tyres, let's say they go maximum you'll get out the softs, let's be honest, are anywhere between 6 and 10 laps. Medium's about 14 to 15. Hards will easily get you probably to the end of the race from lap 1 if you're allowed to do it, which you're not, but the hards will be able to get you to the end. So surely if the rain period comes late, it's surely going to be better off for SV Bradford, because it means he only has to commit to the one stop.
I actually remember seeing someone in China. He was on the hards from I think lap 2 or lap 3 after making contact, and he actually made it to the end of the race on that set, which was very impressive. SV Bradford here I'm on board with also broke his front wing again on his outlap. That's not very good.
Yeah, he's got major structural front wing damage. You're absolutely right. And take a look here, and he keeps making mistakes, and I think he's going to have to try and sort that one out as fast as he can, because if he doesn't, he's going to be well down the order. And obviously now with the confirmed team now, Cynical Velocity, Renault, SV, Renault with Pagoo and Bradford now teamed up together, it's surely going to be an even more of an effort now to try and pump as many points as they can into the team, because of course any good racing from the two of them will allow them to be able to promote the team as best as they can. If they keep crashing, they're only going to be down the order, which is not going to look good. Other people around though at the moment, we do have a few people about to get on to finishing their laps rather. I think we have the Synergy driver from Down Under rather, people who are Jenny Gooch. He's about to complete his lap, I believe. He's on the set of softs as would be typical of a Q3 session. It's surely going to be one interesting one here as he comes across the line, and he's actually a little bit down the order, I suspect. 1 minute 38, 1 minute 39.6 for PWR Jenny Goose, but we have a Red Bull coming down, and I believe it is of Sphere Cookie. He's going to come across the line, and he goes faster by a big way as well, over a second faster in the Red Bull rather. Red Bull Honda Sphere Cookie going with a 1 minute 38.5. Other people coming around, we have a Renault now coming down of S3 Pagoo. He's looking really quick, is the Renault driver. He's on an outlap and he's going to start his lap now. So it'd be worth seeing where he's going to put his car, because surely Bradford is going to be looking to aim around about that kind of lap. AMS Bianchi though will be the next person to come across the line. Before we have Atomic Ship, we'll have Bianchi coming across the line. Scartrick, sets the fastest lap 38.4. Then it's Atomic Ship 38.8, and then it's Bianchi with 48.6. So that was an invalidated lap. Then it'll be the Haas of Simpri. He puts himself in the 38.9, and Hypernova goes fastest in the Alfa Romeo with a 38.2. Now, Sean, from your perspective here, you've got Hypernova, who set a 38.2 and was going to be taking some good points alongside SV Pagoo until SV Pagoo swapped to Renault. And as it stands at the moment, Hypernova really sort of setting the pace here tonight. Was it maybe an early mistake for Pagoo to swap teams so quickly? And maybe could have stuck with Hypernova in the Alfa Romeo, because surely they were going to be a team to watch.
I mean, they're both really good around here with pace, but clearly, from my point of view, I think Pagoo has probably a better relationship with Bradford. That's why, they're in the same team together. But if he stayed with Hypno, I think they could get a lot of good points. Personally, a lot of good points.
It's a real shame that we move on and they move on, and now obviously SV Pagoo is going to be heading round now, and I believe he's actually coming through the third sector now, is actually the Renault, so he's now going to be completing his lap. So on board with the Renault, looking fairly sharp at the moment. Yellow flags waving, I believe that's for a very slow Ferrari. We'll keep an eye out on that one, but stick on with SV Pagoo as he keeps going down here, and we head up and crosses the line in it. 38.5 for him, so he's actually about 0.3 of a second down on pole position. Surely Bradford is going to be looking for something in and around that sort of area. Really slow car though from Scartrix, I believe, going through there. The reason why is he's out of fuel. That would be the reason why he has a bit of a very slow car rather, and why all those yellow flags were waving.
Yankee just coming through with 38.7 to split the Red Bulls.
Early indication, though, would suggest that Hypernova is currently leading the way, a couple of tenths from him and Scartrix. Scartrix wants to bounce back quite well. He DNF'd at China. SV Pagoo, a little bit further up the order. He believes that he could have potentially, I think he could have said he could have won Bahrain, I think it was, and I think something messed him up, and as a result, he didn't or wasn't able to win the race. But he's in P3 at the moment, and 0.3 tenths down on the fastest lap. He's got to keep an eye out on over his shoulder, though, because look, Sphere Cookie also on a 38.5 as well. Only half a tenth separating the two of them, and only 2 tenths behind is the Ferrari, as you said, of AMS Bianchi with Tommy Chip in P6, Simpri in P7, Jenny Gooch in P8, and Bradford still yet to set a lap at the moment in P9. So it's surely going to be an interesting one to see as this one develops, but right now it's looking still like anybody's pole position at the moment, but Hypernova taking the early advantage, surely.
It's going to be a very interesting final lap in Div 1. It's going to be very interesting. I think Sphere Cookie might have a great advantage. I mean, his time, I think it was just like a bit of a warm-up before it actually gets to it, but I think he could definitely get into 137. Same with Hypernova and Scartrix. I'm not sure about Pagoo, but I don't know. It's a hard one to call, to be honest. But it's definitely going to be interesting.
Let's see if anyone couldn't reach the 37s, and thankfully we're in dry conditions, so that will be allowed. Everyone back in the pits, though. 4 minutes to go. So that gives us a bit of time to be able to carry on talking potentially about Div 2 and the qualifying session that happened in Div 2. Obviously, we ended up having to commit to a restart at the end of the qualifying session because I think it was a bit of an issue with Mongdog and KGS Leftovers internet connection. But in the end, we had a pole position lap time from Vicolas of 1 minute 37.8. Yourself, Sean, managed to sneak in to third position with 1 minute 38.4. So as it stands at the moment, you'd be looking around about second place. I've got your lap time specifically, which is a 1 minute 34.91. So you're actually only a 100th off Scartrix time. I think that shows how close the two divisions are as regards of pace. And just because you're in one division below doesn't necessarily mean that you are slow by any stretch of the imagination. That just shows you how close and how closely competitive the two divisions are, as both Alfa Romeos have left, and I believe the Haas of Simpri has left as well. For yourself, Sean, you managed to get onto third place, and managed to sneak up to second as well, I believe at turn 1 after a mistake from Vic. Looking into it now, you know, do you reckon you could have got better than third without that, you know, need of that second pit stop? Do you reckon you could have pushed for the win, or do you reckon, assuming Rez didn't make any mistakes, second was the best for you going to go for?
See, I think I could have started on. Oh, Simpri's out.
Simpri is out as well. Yeah, presumably did he crash out of? It looks like he's crashed out at the end of turn 3. Sorry, yeah, you're right. It looks like it's going into turn 3. So perhaps what happened? Did you manage to catch that, Vic?
Yeah, he just turned in a bit too early, caught the tyre, and it fell off.
Oh, that's unlucky. That's unlucky for the Haas driver. But yes, going back to what we were saying there, Sean, do you reckon you could have pushed for, you know, the win, assuming Rez wasn't making any mistakes, or do you reckon Rez was practically running away with that one before the mistakes?
Right, so I think Rez would have got away with it. was gaining more time away from me as laps were going on. I wasn't very stable myself, wasn't the best. I think it could have been better. I was really loose around the rear end. But my quali lap could have been better. I came out and I got to the line 2 seconds before quali 3 ended. So I had literally a literal mouthful fuel to go through, and my ERS was mainly gone. So it was very, very hard. But
Shocking
I think
stuff.
I could have got one more comfort.
Shocking stuff coming through though from the Red Bull garage. We're a bit unsure about what's actually happened there, but Svirkuki has been disqualified from this qualifying session. As a result, will be starting P9. Apparently his car was parked in a dangerous location. However, all I was seeing was a car that was in the pits, and he left the session. So the Red Bull will be starting in P9 as a result of that one, which is surely going to help the likes of Scartrix. As it stands at the moment in the Division 1 standings, Svirkuki currently leading the way on 54 points, Scartrix on 43, Bianchi on 36, BOR down 35, Hypernova 33, Pagoo 30, and Bradford 25. So with the current defending world champion and current leading driver in the Season 3 Championship at the moment, now down to P9, surely blown up this whole performance now from the runners. We're starting to see the Alfa Romeos getting really close and personal, in fact not helping each other going through there. Jenny Gooch looks like he's trying to give a bit of a toe actually to Hypernova at the moment. Hypernova on a lap at the moment as it stands. We're at 38.2 as it currently stands, and Jenny Gooch really struggling to get any kind of grip going through 15 into 16. Very well taken corner from the Alpha, heading through 17, 18 and 19, and before heading through the King Cons 20 and then having the DRS straight. That will lead Hypernova now all the way up to the finishing line. We're at 38.2 to beat. He hasn't got any extra time to set some of the laps, so this has to be faster. Otherwise, we're going to start seeing some drivers be able to beat here. Bianchi's decided to call it quits. He's out of here 38.7, and he does go faster as Hypernova. He goes up to a 38.1 as it stands at the moment. We've got a couple of other people still on laps at the moment. Scartrix a couple of tenths up in the second sector, but it's still not fast enough to be able to get pole position at the moment. But the first person to come across the line just before then will be SV Pagoo. 38.5 we got before, 38.1 to go any faster. Will he go any faster? He does, but it's invalidated. So he finishes with a 38.5. He was on for 38.2 though, so he wouldn't have had pole position anyway, but he would have been Scartrix. SV Bradford goes faster with a 38.0. It's very close, 38.001, and Hypernova with 38.1, so he loses out pole position. Next person to come across the line will be Scartrix, very low on fuel, about to run out of ERS. Will the Ferrari be able to snag a pole position? And he does. I think it's a 37.9 for the Ferrari, and he's on the front, and he's on pole position as the Ferrari, and that pushes SV Bradford down to P2. SV Bradford will be happy with that one. He's managed to out-qualify his teammate on his debut in the Renault C. SV Pagoo actually down the order with a 38.5, but we'll take a look at the top 9, and we have Scartrix on pole position with a 38.9. SV Bradford following in P2 with a 38.001. Then look at that, how close it is, just 24 thousandths of a second separating the two. Hypernova in P3 with a 38.1. Atomic Ship 38.2. SV Pagoo with a 38.5, and Amos Bianchi with a 38.7. WR Sempre finished with a 38.9. Jenny Gooch 39.6, the reserve driver. Relatively decent drive from him, but he is a little bit down the order. And Svirkuki disqualified. Fingers crossed he will be in the race.
Oh, it is raining straight away.
Ooh. And it is indeed racing straight away. That's a bit of a shocker. So we've just got a bit of news breaking through at the moment from the Intersynergy. So current situation, Hoonigan is having to retire from this race straight away. Personal issues have arisen, which means he has to be away from the race. So we will be down to 10 drivers, which is obviously, desperately sad. So we will, the race control is aware of that situation, and obviously we will be sure to get to the situation with James Hoonigan as quickly as possible. Leading on though, we do have a 10 driver race happening in front of us very shortly. And the confirmed start time will be 20:39. Indeed, it's going to be one interesting race ahead of us, 20:39 start time. I think based on the looking of these conditions, surely we're going to be starting on intermediate tyres, Sean. It looks like the drivers in Q2 made a bit of a boo-boo by starting on hards or going to soft straight away. And Svircook is actually readied up straight away, so that will be an instant penalty. But very briefly, does that look like we're going to be heading through to intermediate conditions straight away?
Depends. Maybe if the rain gets worse, be a full wet race. It's going to be a difficult one, especially around Baku as well. Street circuit and the wet conditions, how close the walls are and everything. People going side by side and that. It's going to make everything 10 times worse. Let's just see how it gets on.
Well, the drivers now are heading out onto their formation lap. Obviously, we are going to be down a driver. I believe the McLaren of Hoonigan will be completing one lap of this race from the back and will be retiring as he needs to commit to some personal matters. So we'll be down to 10 drivers at the start of this race. Okay, so confirmation, Svircook will be under investigation for starting earlier than the specified time, which is deemable by a 2-second penalty. And drivers now starting to go up on the formation lap, and we've seen here now, everyone is actually on intermediate tyres. So we have everyone from Q2 being negated. They really should have all just been on softs then, surely.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, as I said, it's going to be very, very difficult. Down on the inters, slow getaway. Turn 1 is going to be a big issue with braking points. In fact, turn 2 as well. See how close the corner is together. It's the Skytrix to hit the wall on his formation up, so conditions are going to be a bit slippery.
Indeed, it will be. We'll be back very shortly for this race. Good evening, Synergy PWR viewers across the world. Welcome to Synergy PWR People's World Racing, and we are back for round number 4 of this Synergy PWR F1 Championship. This is the Division 1 race at Baku in Azerbaijan. Pleased to be sitting alongside the Red Bull driver, sitting alongside Resolutionary in Division 2 in SF1. Sean, good evening to yourself, sir. Thank you very much for being in the commentary box tonight, and on the director's cameras here tonight is none other than Nicholas from Team Mercedes. Hello to yourself, sir.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for coming into this session here for this Division 1 race tonight. Before we get going, confirmation Hoonigan will be rejecting this race and will be leaving. He will be retiring in the pits on lap number 1 due to a personal matters. So we have a top 10 race of Scartrix, SV Bradford, Hypernova, Atomic Ship, SV Pagou, AMS Bianchi, WS Simpri, PWR Jenny Gush, Cookie and BOR Dan. And indeed, we're going to be starting in wet conditions. I can't wait to get going with this race. The drivers are now lining up on the grid. And with the drivers lined up on the grid, we're going to be counting down the lights. It's 1, it's 2, it's 3, it's 4, and it's 5 lights. It's 5 lights, and they are a go. The drivers, here we are. We've got SV Bradford coming up on the inside. It's not a bad start as well. Actually, Scotrix has an absolutely appalling start from pole position, losing 4 positions before he even gets anywhere near turn 1, and Hypernova straight into the lead in the Alfa Romeo with SV Bradford in P2. Atomic Ship going around the outside of turn 2 to try and hold on, and they try to go wheel to wheel into turn 2. Really, really difficult in wet conditions, and SV Bradford just manages to hold on and actually puts SV Pagoo in a good position to go side by side heading into P3, and they're doing a really good job actually. Is the other Renault, because he's able to get a toe off SV Bradford is Pagoo, but can't make the move stick as Atomic Ship has put himself straight into the wall. There goes one of the mistake in these wet conditions, and you can see people really not managing to get their braking setups right. I think he just tried to hold on to position, and Pagoo managed to make that move stick, and Pagoo straight up to P2. But Hypernova, 2 seconds straight away into the lead. Your thoughts on that start there, Sean?
I don't know what to believe there. Like, Scartrix got a really bad getaway. He was on the grid stable. Don't know what happened there. Congrats to the 2 Renaults though, again 2-3 at the minute. Scartrix still trying to get back up there though. Hypernova though, already a 2.3 second gap towards P2. Very interesting.
Very interesting start indeed. Everyone's still within 1 second of each other, apart from Pagoo on Hypernova, and just breaching now would be Bradford on Pagoo, as Bradford and Pagoo have put themselves straight into the wall at T15. So that's going to give them major front wing damage. That's going to bring Scartrix into it, unless Scartrix made a mistake himself, and Simply's trying to get up on the inside of Scartrix himself. So the Renault's looking very sharp, as you were just saying there, Sean. Certainly not looking so sharp at all. There's the commentator working live right there, and SV Bradford has got major structural front wing damage to the front end. And look at this, you can see now that major understeer has just given buckets of time to Scartrix, and Scartrix is back through from Bradford. Pagoo is straight into the pits as well, and Simply, we're not going 3 wide, surely we might be, and that's so close to the pits. We're 3 wide, going into turn 1, and Simply's going to get close, and there's definitely a collision, and there goes the front wing of the Haas, and Cookie also involved in that one as well. Hoonigan retires as predicted on the first lap due to personal circumstances, but Simply, and they're going 3 wide in wet conditions at Baku, is not going to be the best case scenario, and there's Simply and Sphere Cookie and SV Bradford getting all up close and personal, and SV Bradford has to go out an extra lap as well because it doesn't want to get caught behind SV Pagoo in all of that mix-up to try and get the front wing sorted, because of course he's going to be caught in the trail, isn't he? He's going to be caught behind the car in the pits.
Jesus. But Hypernova's loving this, that 5.2 second gap now towards
Hypernova will be very happy. Hypernova will be very happy, and actually his brother Mike David and having an absolutely brilliant race himself, starting on hard tyres, and managed to work himself a real good race himself, and actually it's a very good effort from his brother, and now he's going to be doing his, obviously the younger brother of Mike David is going to be on his way to possibly a good win at the moment, 5.6 seconds, but there, the Renaults, where did they come from? From up to P2 and P3, and on the same lap, they lost it all again.
Jeez, don't know what to say for that now. Did they both get wing damage?
I believe so. They did. Oh, Scartrix has done exactly the same as well, heading into T14, and now he's going to have to give the position up to AMS Bianchi. And you can see this is why we've gone to full damage at Azerbaijan, because of mistakes like this aren't really that punishable. Because if we go into simulation damage, I think we'll probably be down to about 4 or 5 drivers at this point.
BOR Dan on Bianchi around the outside. What stat he's had?
Really good stuff, having good racing here. Scartrix is in the pits now to change his front wing, and BOR Dan out of absolutely nowhere has put himself straight into the positions here for a P2 standings at the moment. Position changes gain. 8 positions from P10 was BOR Dan, and now AMS Bianchi in P3 with Simpri in P4, who has got major front wing damage but has decided to stay out. He's missing an M plate. It's at least yellow, but going 2 wide through his turn 2 with Jensen in the Alfa Romeo as a reserve. But really good race so far from those runners, but really appalling. SV Pagoo down to P6, Bradford P8, Scartrix now coming out of the pits, now in P7, and both Red Bulls down the order, and Simply has outbraked himself at turn number 3, so he's now put himself straight on, and hopefully not too much damage extra for him. I know he's missing an M plate. It doesn't look like he's lost more damage, but he has to be careful. He's going to have to manage that to make sure the one-stop works on 2 sets of inters.
Jesus, what a start to this race.
really good race. I mean, considering we've only got 10 runners as well, you'd expect a 10 runner race to be fairly poor, but so far we've had a really good start to this race with 3 laps taken of 26 of the Synergy PWR People's World Racing Race Division 1 through into the next stage of this race now. Everyone has now managed to come out of the pits, managing their damage or managing their tyres. At the moment, happened over 6.8 seconds away from BOR Dan in P2. Managed to start P10, he's now up to P2, and MS Bianchi up the way as well as SF1 Sean's phone ringing, getting the major calls. Mr. Popularity making his way into the commentary box. He looking very strong though is BOR Dan, and one person looking not so strong at the moment is PWR Jenny Gooch. I'm on board with him at the moment, and he has certainly got a dry setup on because that rear end is so slidey in that Alfa Romeo. Just talk about Cookie at the moment as well, and Cookie is not having the best of races himself in the Red Bull at the moment. He down to P9. I think he was involved in that tangle at T1. I don't know if you managed to capture what happened as regards to Sphere Cookie. Where did Sphere Cookie get into that turn 1 3 wide collision? I thought it were between Simpri Bradford and Bianchi or Scarchicks. I didn't realise Cookie was in there as well.
No, he was
Pretty
just
sure
a
I
bit
saw an
further
end
back.
plate off Cookie.
Yeah, he was a bit further back and he's went straight into turn 1. He's outbraked himself and he's done what Vic done in Division 2.
Oh, he's gone wide again into turn 1.
Yeah,
Really
struggling. He lost an end plate going into sector 2 as well. Outbraked himself. These conditions are just getting worse and worse.
Current defending world champion, currently struggling at the moment, and he is really down the order in P9 at the moment. So currently person just gaining buckets of time at the moment is Hypernova. He's actually working an excellent race to his own now. 6.9 seconds the gap between him and BOR Dan. AMS Bianchi has made BOR Dan's done a spin into the castle section, and BOR Dan making his own error there, and he wasn't really in a position there to he wasn't under any pressure to make those kind of mistake, and he's gone and done it his own. I think he's got away with the damage as well, because it looks like he caught the rear tyre on the wall and he's made a big spin, and now he's down to P3, and it's given even more time to Hypernova. AMS Bianchi now to P2, and 8.2 seconds the gap between Hypernova and Bianchi. The rate of people making mistakes and Hypernova not, he could go on to a 2-stop and still win the race. Yeah, shocking stuff there from BOR Dan, doing a bit of a spin going through the castle section, causing a few yellow flags. Thankfully no harm done, no damage done, and Hypernova goes even faster with 1 minute 54.0. Now it's just a race to manage. If you were in this position, Sean, yourself now, 8.3 seconds away from second place, wet conditions and a car that looks like it feels quite stable, what would your approach to this race be now? I think Sean might be AFK on that one, so we'll go that way. We'll bash that question over to Vic. Actually, if you were in that position of Hypernovas, 8.3 seconds a gap now at the moment. What would you do? Would you be in the position to just manage your own race, or would you or would you do something different? What would your approach be if you're in Hypernova's shoes at the moment?
At this point, it would just be best to get into your own rhythm, get into your own pace, and just see where the race takes you from there. See if
Jensen. There goes PWR Jenny Gooch. Jensen going straight on at turn number 3. And I believe that's because he outbroke himself again. You can see the drivers are really struggling with traction at the moment around here. Might be not just due to issues surrounding the conditions, but also perhaps the temperature as well, because it just certainly looks like there's no grip out there whatsoever. And surely you'd at least have some level of grip on these intermediate tyres, but at this moment in time, no one really seems to have any, apart from Hypernova. And you are absolutely right, Vic. Yeah, major front wing damage for that reserve driver Alfa Romeo for PWR Jenny Gooch. In and around the different areas though, SV Pagoon out to P5 after making that pit stop, making a mistake at turn 14-15, and WRS Simpre 10 seconds back in P4. And you can see people really struggling to be able to hold on in these conditions. It's just me that thinks there's major. It just seems to be a lack of grip anywhere, as Jensen is out of the race. It looks like he's done a big crash, and he's done a big crash just before turn 15, and as a result it's brought the safety car out. That is going to really infuriate Hypernova.
I just caught that. Also, may I just add, I noticed Hypernova going fastest every single lap, so it's either the track conditions are getting a bit better, maybe a bit either wetter or a bit more dry, suiting to the intermediates, or he's just enjoying the conditions and getting more and more confident. Just have to wait and see what happens.
Certainly going to be interesting, because Ipanova and Amos Bianchi weren't able to get out in time weren't able to get into the pits in time before the safety car came out. But one person who did was BOR Dan, and BOR Dan, alongside a few other drivers, did manage to get into the pits. And we take a look now at the tyres, and we can take a look and see how old these tyres are. Scartrix, Simpre, BOR Dan, fresh intermediate tyres. Hypernova and MS Bianchi did not manage to get there in time, and as a result they're going to continue on their lap. And you've got to remember, they've got to follow a delta as well, and as a result, if they do decide to come into the pits, BOR Dan might be in the position to take the lead of this race if, of course, the deltas are too bad on the side against the Ferrari powered cars. So certainly one to watch here. It's going to be a race without anyone racing still, which is a very odd circumstance to be in, as Sean's has re-entered the commentary box, sounds like, with food on his lap.
Right. Come back to a safety
It's
car.
like a good race for Dan as well.
Yeah, you've come back
Dan
to a
is
safety
on fresh
car.
tyres.
Someone want to explain what happened then?
So, long story. So, for a reminder of the viewers who have decided to get their food at the last second, we have PWR Jenny Gould crashing himself out at turn number 14, bringing out the safety
Bradford.
car. Hypernova had a gap of about 9
Oh,
seconds to the rest here, as SV Bradford has made a mistake under the safety car conditions and has allowed Sviatkuke into P5, and we've got a few. And in this circumstance, BOR Dan is going to be in a position, if he doesn't have Delta, he's going to be in a position where he might end up overtaking Hypernova or Bianchi in the pits here. And Bianchi in the pits as well, so we'll have to see what happens. But it's going to be a new set of intermediates. You might as well, under the safety car conditions. It's just a question of, will they get out in front of BOR Dan? And looking at it now, yeah, it's looking fairly safe. Looking fairly safe to get through here. So we're going to end up having a safety car period with Hypernova in P1, Bianchi in P2, BOR Dan and SV Pagoo in P4, then Sviatkuke, SV Bradford Atomic Ship, WRS Simpri and Scartrix. And Scartrix currently in P2 in the standings, now down to P9 in this race, but he is on fresh intermediate tyres, whereas other drivers, Sviatkuke, and I was just about to say SV Bradford, but I tell a lie now, Atomic Ship.
Dan made a mistake.
Dan has made a mistake, and you are absolutely right. He's made a mistake at turn number 2 on the fresh intermediate tyres, and that has now put SV Pagoo up into the podium positions. So drivers still making mistakes in the safety car.
Surprised me that it's under a delta as well, because if it was if it changed to catch the safety car, then all delta is regardless, and you can just push as hard as you can. I feel like that may have been Dan's downfall. If it was catch safety car, he really could have got ahead of Hypernova and Bianchi, but he was slowing down due to the delta.
Even to Richie Evans, 1975 driver, started on his debut in Division 2 last night, and he says, wow, so happy we had a dry race yesterday. Indeed, everyone really struggling out there at the moment. It looks like really bad conditions for racing, though I'm taking a look. Is it just me who thinks it's starting to get a little bit lighter out there? It certainly looks like it's drying up.
I was going to ask and say, is it getting heavier?
To me, I'm on board with BOR Dan at the moment, and to me it looks like it's just getting the rain's a little bit lighter, and the sky looks a lot brighter. So I'm wondering if we're just going through a little bit of a dry spell, perhaps, or perhaps we're going to be staying with rain. I don't know, but it certainly does look like we're in a position where we could end up seeing better conditions for racing here, and we are now starting to see, now finally after the third lap of the safety car, starting to see drivers bunch up behind the safety car. And as it stands at the moment, we could end up being in a position where we could end up going racing on the next lap, and the back of the field that SV Bradford picks for a fresh set of intermediates may be in a position where he might not be at the back of the field when we start racing if he's not fast enough. So it's a bit late to come in for a set of intermediates, surely.
Safety car staying out, so he should have enough time to catch up going flat out.
I'd have to see, he's just come round turn number 16 now, has the Renault, so he's now heading through the fast left, right, left chicanes now. And we have Atomic Ship in the pits, so he's now coming to the pits here for a fresh set of intermediate tyres. It's very, very late call here to go on to a set of intermediate tyres. I mean, he's changing his front wing as well, is the Red Bull. So surely here, you'd suspect the safety car's coming in at the end of this lap. Will the Red Bull have enough time to get to the back of the field?
Hopefully will do.
Because the Renault of SV Bradford, he's come in the previous lap and he's really struggling to try to get to the back of field here. I'm just watching him now, and he just
pushing them tyres.
And I think you're pushing through these intermediates to try and get to at least 10 car lengths. And at the moment, he's really struggling, isn't it?
Yeah. Oof. It's got a bit close to the wall there.
Getting close and getting really, really, really close indeed, because at this rate, at this moment in time, both the Renault and the Red Bull might not be on the back of this train of the safety car here. He's got it in his vision as Bradford here, so we've got to hope that people are going to be slow heading through to the third sector. You can expect now the safety car will be due to come in, and we should get a message very shortly. But yeah, if you were in Hypernova's position, he was on his way to taking a relatively good win, 9 seconds up, and now all of that has been taken away again. What's Hypernova's position? Is it to race hard? Is it to race fair? I mean, what's the case for Hypernova now? Oh, and SV Bradford has lost it under the safety car. SV Bradford has lost it under the safety car. He's done a Grosjean, and he's missing an end plate on his front wing damage, with front wing damage now, and now he's going to be really down the field. Does look like Atomic Ship is going to be able to get to the back of this safety car train just in time, but Bradford safety car is in this lap, and I think the Red Bull is just going to be able to get back onto this train just in time. And Bradford is making that mistake, might not do so. Hypernova controls the field and is getting really close to AMS Bianchi for this restart. And remember, no overtaking until the start finishing line, not the safety car line, as the old rules stipulate. And I think we're going to be going racing very shortly. He's trying to keep those tyres warm, and I think we're going racing again, and Hypernova begins to push. As he goes through turn 20, we get going. I think he's actually caught Bianchi napping a little bit, because SV Pagoo, the Scottish man, is going to be heading through in the Renault now to potentially make a move up on the inside of turn number 1 as we go green at Baku, and we go racing again, and SV Pagoo looking like he wants to make a little bit of a dive, perhaps double AMS Bianchi, but holds his line with Biawar Dan getting up close and personal as well. Sphere Cookie down in P5 as well. It's an opportunity for him to gain some points here, but SV Bradford has decided not to pit, so he's just continuing on with that wing damage, and he's now at the back of the grid on fresh intermediate tyres, but with the wing damage, and of course other people around the field still are, I think everyone actually has pitted at least once now. First on the oldest tyres, SV Pagoo up to P3 at the moment, and he's actually really struggling at the moment compared to Biawar Dan, who's looking very racy at the moment in this Toro Rosso. He's looking to maybe make a bit of a move up on the inside, or for the outside maybe of turn number 6, and he's going to around the outside of 6 to have the inside of 7, and they're going side by side in 7. This does not go too wide, and he's going to have to give up the position surely, and Biawar Dan really can't look to move there, and SV Pagoo wiggling his tyres there. I think that's probably just as a little call to say, oi, what are you doing? You can't go too wide through 7, and as a result they're going to be really struggling here going through the castle section. No too wide through here either, and a little bit of a late breaker actually from Toro Rosso. He's where he made a mistake about 3 or 4 laps earlier, did the Toro Rosso.
This is coming into the hands of Star Tricks, Cookie and Prix.
And it's falling right into the favour of the people who are on the fresh intermediate tyres, including Atomic Ship, who at one point thought he wasn't able to catch up to the safety car line in time, and he has done so, and he's now just a little bit down on Scartrix at the moment on fresh intermediate tyres. Sector 2 yellow flags wave for Sphere Cookie, the defending world champion, now making a mistake at T number 15, and he's now down to P9, and the Red Bull driver now down to P9 as a result of that, and behind SV Bradford also with wing damage. Atomic Ship is going to be able to gain time here, but he's lost a bit of time as a result of that. He now has to gain some time on Scartrix, and I stand corrected. Nick was absolutely right. It is now starting to get darker again, I feel, so I think that perhaps was just a little light spell from the weather conditions. Bianchi going fastest though, 0.3 of a second separating him from Hypernova. No DRS obviously due to the wet conditions, so it is all about the raw pace of these cars and the drivers doing it as SV Bradford comes into the pits to make his front wing change again as Scartrix gets past WRS Simpri, and now he's going to be heading on to P4. Biawar Dan did manage to get past Pagoo at some point on this race, and SV Bradford for some reason is out on a set of medium tyres. I'm unsure for why. He's on dry tyres as SV Bradford, but he has made a bit of a mistake doing that, whether he's made a mistake with Jeffrey or not, but he's on dry tyres And surely it's not the case with wet conditions. And he's crossed the white line. He's crossed the white line, which is going to give him a 5-second penalty as well. Why is he on dry tyres?
Do you reckon he has run out of intermediate sets because he's pitted too much?
I'd put the option on that he could have run out of intermediate sets, but fresh intermediate sets, it doesn't matter. He can put on an old set of intermediate tyres if you need to. And this is where I say, we should be able to do in the suggestions where you do your you do all your little fiddling around, and with the setup and everything. You can offer your option to change your front wing. You should also have the option to change your tyres as well. If you've got fresh tyres and you need to change your front wing, you should be able to say to your pit crew, "Don't change my tyres." That's what I think. But unfortunately, the situation now where SV Bradford for some reason is on medium tyres and he's got a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting as well, is not on the right tyres, and surely he's going to have to commit now to ending this race, come into the pits and call it quits, because for some reason being on those medium tyres is just going to cost him absolutely all buckets of time and any hope of being able to get anything better than a couple of points here tonight.
It's also bad for him, literally.
Doesn't put the favour in the lights of Cynical Velocity Renault as well, because both of those teams were looking fairly strong at one point, having a 2-3, and then incidents happening all around, and we may have ended up running out of tyres. And has it stopped raining? It looks like it's stopped raining.
I think it has. In Sector 2, it has.
It has.
It stopped raining,
There's
so
no rain on the car.
That is very odd. So it had. So I stand corrected again from the correction that happened earlier. It was drying up. We're now no longer in wet conditions, so Bradford has made a gamble to go on to medium tyres very early, which surely is going to be it's going to be far too early anyway, regardless. And he's probably not going to be off any kind of dry spell now for the next 4-5 laps at the very least. Sector 1 yellow flag waved, and that's for Sphere Cookie again at turn 3. Sphere Cookie is really struggling at the moment in the Red Bull. He's not able to put his car anywhere at the moment. Absolutely horrific situations happening at the moment in and around the field. And the OG field, as SV Bradford has gone on at turn 1, and he now has to come back round again, and it is far too early for dry tyres. I did say this, and he's now 38.46 and losing time behind the car in front of him, and he's going to be nearly a minute behind everyone else as it stands if he keeps losing this time. Again, it's far too early for dry tyres, surely, Sean.
Indeed. Don't know what to say. He's having a poor race. He's losing. He's doing 2 minutes a lap. Jesus. He's gone off again.
Stroll, I think. Aiming for Stroll, like a Stroll-esque kind of thing of what happened at Germany, if you still remember correctly. Went onto a set of dry tyres at the very, very last, very earliest opportunity, and it worked for the Racing Point driver to secure P4 in real-life Formula 1. However, it's not worked here because it's a game, and SV Bradford is really, really struggling on these medium tyres. He's now falling to a minute behind 7th place, and he's just not able to get anywhere. And the fastest lap time still happening on the intermediate tyres. BOR Dan is closing the gap on P1 and P2 at the moment. And we have fielders all around here as the championship is getting close to Simpri as well. And really, really good racing happening as well from the drivers on the intermediate tyres at the moment. And surely it's going to be Bradford's call in here not to continue here, as he's gone off again as Bradford in the Renault. And this time he has hit the wall. But I think he's got away from any kind of damage at the moment. He's going to have to be very careful. It's going to have to be very careful as well, because at this moment in time, SV Bradford is going to get close to being lapped here by the field being on these dry tyres. And it is hard tyres for Cookie, you're absolutely right. And he has a fresh new wing on as well. And you can see SV Bradford was losing buckets of time on those medium tyres. He's not surely Cookie is going to go through something very similar as well. Everyone is just everyone that's had a really, really bad race so far are gambling on going dry tyres so early, and I really don't think it's going to work surely for the Red Bull either. We'll have to see. He's heading through turn 2 now, is the Red Bull Honda rather, and you can see he's got no grip at all. Surely if he's going to go on to the set of dry tyres, the soft tyres are the only ones that will get temperature, otherwise you're going to be struggling for any kind of traction. But as it stands at the moment, gap now starting to rise as Hypernova has managed to break the DRS territory of AMS Bianchi, because surely we're going to be getting we're going to be getting close now, as Sphere Cookie is half spinning in and around everywhere. The dry tyres are not working. Surely he should have took note from SV Bradford coming on dry tyres so early on. He's still struggling as well, and he's actually coming to the pits as SV Bradford, and he's now changing on probably to another set of intermediates, but surely it's going to be time for dry tyres in about 2 or 3 laps.
There's battle currently for P4. Pagoo is
all over the place.
Scarfix.
It's absolutely horrific situations. I'm just seeing exposed lols commenting in the stream here tonight. Good evening to yourself, and saying, yeah, this is horrific. It is horrific, isn't it?
Pits.
Is pits, and is it going to be a bold call for him to go onto the dry tyres so early on? We'll have to see.
Yeah,
hard tyres now, soft tyres now coming on for SV Bradford. So he's hoping that this softest compounder tyre will give him the heat that he needs to be able to go on. Hard tyres for Scartrix. Sphere Cookie, though, currently 25 seconds down on his fastest lap time at the moment because of a half spin. Sector 1 yellow flags waved, and that is because SV Bradford is struggling on the soft tyres. And he's now a lap behind practically everyone because he came on those soft tyres too early. It's still intermediate. It's still very touch and go, but it's still intermediate conditions because you can see the spray being kicked up. You can still see this. You can still see the spray being kicked up by the tyres, and I think people are being deceived, aren't they?
I think Scartrix made a mistake. He went into turn 2 and he just, and again here he's just sliding.
He's getting major understeer at the moment. And Sean, yourself, you think people are? What do you think? Do you think people are being deceived by the conditions, thinking, yeah, it's suitable for dries now?
See, it's a different one to call because
SV Bradford spun again. SV Bradford spins again, and he's also bashed it into the wall as well. It's cost Renault probably the best part of £2 million worth of damage on front wing, front wings alone at the moment, and he's now missing an entire end plate again on that Renault. And SV Bradford has now been lapped by everyone bar Sphere Cookie at the moment, and Sphere Cookie goes straight on at turn 3. Yellow flags wave there as well. The dry tyres are not ready for racing at the moment, and Scartrix has put himself in the wall as well at the top of Castle. And now you've just got a bunch of people currently racing basically on what looks like to be racing on rims at the moment. It's just awful conditions for the dry tyres at the moment, and I don't know why these drivers have decided to go for it, because they're just really struggling as people are starting to pit. And Hypernova and AMS Bianca in the pits, and they're going on the dry tyres. What's happening? Why are people gambling so early? It's not time for these dry tyres. And no, we've got more people in. We've got Bianchi on the mediums, Hyper on the mediums, Pogu's in, Atomic Shift is in. They're all going for the medium tyre, and you can see people are not able to go anywhere, and surely BOR Dan and WRS Simpri are going to be gaining buckets of time on the rest of the field.
Yeah. There's always a rule with Codemasters games. It's you do not pit for the dry tyres until DRS is enabled. That is fact.
Codemasters have made it far too obvious, and the 5 second speed penalty, you're absolutely right there, Vic, because for what I am aware of, there's DRS enabled, so now the dry tyres are the fastest tyre. So it was a good call from Hypernova, Bianchi, Pagoo and Atomic Ship to go on, but Pagoo has just clipped his rear tyre on the wall, and Atomic has gone straight into the wall, and there goes another Red Bull wing for replacement. So now we're down up to an Atomic Ship, and this is insane. They were on dry tyres. They're brand new and they're supposedly the fastest tyre, but they're not. No tyre is good at this moment in time, and everyone is struggling out there in this Division 1 lobby, and 9 people tuning into what is essentially the most appalling conditions I have seen for a racetrack in my life.
Renault's going to get nearly the similar.
At this moment in time, the drivers of the intermediate tyres are still racing so well. The drivers that are currently on the intermediate tyres are still faster, though the dry tyres in principle are the faster tyre. Because the intermediates have got so much temperature into them, they've got more grip, and that's why these intermediate tyres are so much faster. And now here comes BOR Dan and WRS Simpri surely to come in to change onto a set of dry tyres, because there's one more lap on those intermediates and they probably will burn up, but they had so much more grip, even on that outlap where and I think probably it was a good call from Dan Simpri, but here comes Hypernova and MS Bianchi coming up on the inside, as you're saying, and we're racing for P1 as MS Bianchi actually cuts her across quite early, and there goes a bit of a tap there between the two of them, Bianchi, and BOR Dan is going to come out in front, and he's on the medium tyres. There's going to be a collision between the Ferrari and the Alfa Romeo, and I did say that extra lap, even though that it was the faster tyre, because the heat was in those intermediate tyres, it was going to be the fastest tyre for that lap alone. It was a really good call from Simpri and Dan to stay out that little bit longer, and Dan has got out in front and is in the lead of this race. Bianchi cuts out in front, straight in front of Ivanova heading into turn 1. That caught out the Alfa Romeo. I think the Alfa Romeo managed to get away without any damage though, thankfully, so we continue racing. But Bianchi is not really racing to the best of his ability at the moment because he's losing a lot of time by missing apexes, and it might be because of wing damage, and you're absolutely right, because I've just seen it there. He's missing the front right end plate.
Jesus, very interesting.
Very interesting. Those exact words that Paul Davey has just commented in the stream. This is a very interesting today. It is really interesting, Paul, because I don't know what's going on. Can someone do my job for me? I don't know what's going on. Apparently Dan's winning, but for all I know, it could be Bradford and nearly Sport, because I've got no idea what's going on.
Maybe Notyol was winning.
Oh no, man, maybe Notyol's not even racing tonight. He probably has won this race. I don't know. Someone bloody won. That's right, we won lap 15 of 26. Let's break it down. Lap 15 of 26. BOR Dan in the lead on fresh medium tyres. He pitted 1 lap later than the rest of the field, even though that the dry tyres were supposedly faster than the intermediates. But because the intermediates were warm and the dries weren't, those on the intermediate tyres, the slower tyre, were actually faster than those on the fastest tyre. It was such an odd thing.
Ran through a game of wings. Bradford's lost his whole wing.
Getting really close, and SV Bradford, who gambled on coming on to drive so early, it's just not worked for him, and he's been lapped by everyone, and now it's £2.2 million worth of front wings for SV Bradford coming into the pits to surely get a new front wing for him. If he keeps going though, he will get a couple. If he keeps going, he will get a couple of points anyway. But here comes Hypernova, as you said then. He's going to go around the outside. Not much space, surely. And they're going side by side, heading into turn 3. Great racing. Amos Bianchi just leaving that level of space there for running. And we can go here heading into turn 1 here, and it's just going to go around the inside there, and the Alfa Romeo has just managed to get through. Great stuff there from the runners. I believe that would be PWR Infamous stepping in. Imagine if it was a full grid. If this was a full grid of runners, I might end up having a heart attack in this commentary box tonight, because this is absolutely unreal what's happening at the moment. Hypernova now back up to P2 as SV Bradford is now DNF. So we're now down in, he's crashed, he's actually retired in the pits. He's retired on his own accord, and I think that's probably because he's just had enough. It's been an awful race for him from the get-go. There's nothing he could do. He was just trying to gamble, and it didn't work. As Bianchi's looking to try and make a cut, he's going to surely hit the wall there. Oh, it's an excellent corner from AMS Bianchi. He's actually managed to get himself right into the gearbox to Hypernova. Remember, DRS has been enabled, and BOR Dan is 2.3 seconds up on Hypernova at the moment. So the Alfa Romeo is not going to have DRS, and the Ferrari will. He's just put himself in the wall as AMS Bianchi, so now he's going to lose that time. He's going to have DRS, but he might need a new front wing now because he's got the front wing damage, and he's got his DRS open, but he's veering off to the left, and now he's in the pits, and now SV Pagoo is now on the podium. What's happening?
His front wing was already bad enough, and it was amazing by him to keep up with Hypernova, but it was just slowing them down, keeping them from gaining
gets
on
fastest
Dan.
lap as well. So now he's put himself into P3 and has the fastest lap of this race. Bianchi is going to get overtaken by Simpri, but not Atomic Ship, as Simpri goes even faster than Pagoo at the moment, and he's 8.4 seconds down on Pagoo at the moment. We've got 9 laps to go in this race.
This is a great time to have dinner.
Is starting to lose the time now to Hypernova. Starting to lose the time now to BOR Dan. It's Hypernova starting to gain time rather on BOR Dan at the moment. Gap now 1.9 seconds as we start to head through now into turn 5 and turn 6 as Atomic Ship goes fastest, then Scartrix goes, because Scartrix is trying to make a move potentially on Atomic Ship very soon, but you can see the gap between Hypernova and BOR Dan is starting to go a little bit in the favour of Hypernova, against Hypernova now might be back on the win that he originally had under the wet conditions before the safety car. It's absolutely manic.
The biggest point now is, will these mediums make it to the end? I have a feeling they should do, but it's always going to be close, isn't it?
Always going to be close in the medium tyres. We'd expect the medium tyres to go anywhere between 10 to sort of 12, 13 laps. As it stands, the drivers around here, we've got to have BOR Dan, who's going to be finishing on 11 lap hole mediums. You're going to have Hypernova on 12. So we do suspect these mediums should go to the end. Remember, we're not under conditions either, so they're not going to be wearing out as much as if we were under full dry conditions here. And remember, the track is going to be getting faster as well. So if you're caught in quite a bit of dirty air with the drivers in front of you, it could ruin your race if you're on medium tyres. Hypernova does take fastest lap of this race here. BOR Dan surprisingly though doesn't. So he's starting, but even though he's just managed to get a 10th in that corner alone, so BOR Dan and Hypernova basically matching each other at the moment. WRS Simply, the next person to come across the line, he comes across the line and he does set the fastest lap of the race. Bianchi won't because he's just come out of the pits, so we'll see how Atomic Ship does and see what his lap is like compared to the others around him. However, Scartrix is seriously getting close here to this Ferrari, to this Red Bull, sorry. He's just tapped the wall going through turn 19 into turn 20, and that Ferrari, with his DRS wide open, is now going to have to try and make a move maybe on the Red Bull for P6. Bearing in mind he's second in the standings at the moment, and I'm still going to be getting points. He goes the fastest lap here, and he's going to have to go around. It looks like he's going to have to make another run here on the first DRS straight, rather, sorry. And Atomic Ship at this moment in time also in the standings as well to try and take some good points here. Scartrix will be munching away some points in Sphere Cookie in the championship. However, it's not that much because they're both in 7th and 8th position, so the fastest drivers on paper are at the back of this grid. So it's a very backwards race so far.
It's been some pros and cons to the Renault. It's Division 2 and 1. You get PWI Infamous making it from P17 on the grid to P9. He told me that was like a podium to him, and then you get Bradford, who's also got P9. HB Suppress, who had a good race, and now Prog, who's also had a good race. So Renault not doing too bad this. Scartrix out!
Oh, there goes Scartrix. Oh, wow.
I was on board with him there.
You're on board with him, yeah. I just saw that one as well, and he was going through Castle.
That was a
and he made that, and it would made that mistake going into Castle, and I think he just
safety car.
He didn't admit the mistake, did he? He didn't admit the mistake, and he just turned in and didn't take the escape road, and it's cost him 7th place. That is going to be detrimental because that is going to bring the safety car out, and everyone is back bunched up again, and now it's softs to the end. It's going to be a last lap dash for who the winner of this Baku Division 1 race is going to be. Scartrix crashing out at Castle has brought the second safety car out in this race. We're under full course yellow, no one can overtake, but there's one person who's going to be under severe pressure here. It's BOR Dan, because he went past the pit lane before the safety car was called. Everyone is on softs, Dan isn't, and he's under the pressure as well of the time. He has to stick to his delta. He may end up losing out on first place here in the pits. We'll keep an eye out on that one. But everyone surely now is back in the running here, including Sphere Cookie, who will be very happy about this because now he's going to be coming into the pits. Fresh set of softs for him, but it means that he could be in a position to stretch out his lead in the championship, and he's going to have to get back. We've got about 7 laps left in this race. 3 of those laps are probably going to be under the safety car, so we've got 4 laps on these soft tyres, which will easily go to the end in these conditions. What a race we've got on, ladies and gentlemen.
It's going to be hard taking them tyres.
I think Scartrix did an incident like Kubica, just catching the inside wall, which took him onto the infamous corner, which everyone crashes out.
What an absolute... I am lost for words about how this race has gone. So many people have made mistakes left, right and centre. Scartrix making a mistake. He didn't... I saw it as well, Vic, and to me, I don't know if you agree with me, it very much seemed like he didn't admit to the mistake fast enough. It didn't... I don't know what you think, Vic, but from my perspective, it looked like Scartrix didn't admit to the mistake fast enough. He just saw it, turned in, instead of admitting to it, and then went down the escape road. And he took himself out of the race as a result. We're down to 7 runners out of 11, and BOR Dan now in the pits. He's on a fresh set of soft tyres. Hypernova now coming down the main straight. He's probably going to get out behind the Toro Rosso. In fact, Hypernova is coming into the pits for a front wing change. It looks like a front, it looks like a front wing change maybe for the Alfa Romeo, and suddenly the Alfa Romeo, who's looking like he's going to be on for a win here, could end up now really down the order, but yet we're still under safety car conditions. In fact, no, he isn't. He's just getting another set of softs. There is no front wing change. He's just getting another set of softs on. And he's staying in the pits as well. He's not coming out. Why is that? He's not coming out. He's just left the pits here. He didn't have a penalty. He forgot to come out of the pits, and now he's put himself down to P5. So Hypernova, on his way to a victory earlier on in the race, now down to P5, and he's not going to be on the podium as it stands, but we are going to be under safety car conditions, so he will catch up. But he's under severe pressure here because 1 lap stops versus 0 lap stops under safety car conditions. Not going to make any difference, is it?
Then. I think my best guess might be that he's got very slight front wing damage, but the game doesn't let you change your front wing, even if you set it to please change my front wing, if it's not bad enough. But that's only a guess. I don't know.
Oh, it's going to be very hard taking them softs to the end as well. I remember pitting lap 19 for my softs, and they were on about 50 to 55% on the rears. It was so hard to get through.
Certainly going to be a very difficult race here. We're under safety car conditions again for the second time in this race, and a 50% race as well. So if we were on a full race conditions, we'd be averaging 4 safety cars in a 100% race as it stands. It's been an absolutely manic race. Conditions have been unpredictable throughout the entire race. BOR Dan, bearing in mind he started P10 in this race, is now up to P1. Pagoo is now in P2 with WR simply in P3. Bianchi in P4. Hypernova, who was leading the majority of this race, is now down in P5. And the 2 Red Bulls, who on paper have been pretty much the fastest throughout this season, are at the back. It's completely one of these races that is completely off the wall. And it's amazing as well because if the race director Vic, just pop over and take a look at the detail and look at how many stops people have done whilst we continue under the safety car conditions, right? BOR Dan, SV Pagoo, WRS Simpri, 3 stops, Agnes Bianchi, Hypernova, 4 stops, Severe Cookie, 3 stops, Atomic Ship, 5 stop strategy. Absolutely manic.
What a race. Imagine if this was in Division 2. We'll probably have about 5 runs left.
Oh, absolutely mental. And I think it were Richie, the fresh driver coming into Synergy PWR yesterday, commented in saying, I'm pleased it didn't rain yesterday in Div 2. I think a lot of Div 2 runners who are watching the stream tonight will be able to fully confirm, and they were very happy that this didn't happen, because it's been an absolutely manic race. We've got drivers on 5 stop strategies, we've got drivers on 3, 4, we've got drivers on softs, we've got ones going on to mediums while it was still raining, we've got people on intermediates coming in after the 5th lap. We're absolutely manic, and we're under safety car conditions. We expect the safety car coming in probably at the end of this lap. One issue though is Sphere Cookie has still not caught up to the pack. So the Red Bull has not managed to catch up to the queue. So he's got to hope that he can catch up very quickly here, because he's going to, and remember, he's burning through his softs while he's doing it as well. If the safety car comes in here, Sphere Cookie is going to be about 8 or 9 seconds back on everyone else. So it's going to be, what's happening? Someone help me.
He would at least have warm tyres.
Oh, he'll have warm tyres. That's the only thing that'll help him or work in his favour, is that he'll have warm tyres while everyone else is going to be on cold ones. And we're on lap number 21 of 26, and we haven't run out of time yet. I'm sure there's a time limit in there at some point for this race to be over, because it's been I don't know what's going on. Safety car isn't in this lap. Has he managed to catch up now? I think he's just managed to catch up. He's just managed to catch up at the last second as well as Sphere Cookie. So he's gonna. So it is a 7-car dash to the end of this race. BOR Dan starts in P1. He's now monitoring everyone else. As a collision for WRS Simpri into Pagoo means he has now a 5-second penalty to add on to this race. We'll have to see what happens. We'll have to see what happens, as BOR Dan is still weaving his tyres to get them nice and ready. And remember, and here we go again. We go racing, and it's going to be across the finishing line where we can start racing again.
Great start.
He's had a great start here, has Pagoo and Simpri actually. And Simpri's now trying to hold off Bianchi, and we go green again here at Baku. And we have BOR Dan running in P1 with SV Pagoo in P3 and MS Bianchi making a dive on the first corner into P4. And then here comes Simpri up on the inside with a switchback into P2 as they go side by side. And they touch going into P2, and it's still racing. It's 3 wide going into turn 3. As Hypernova coming up on the inside to try and make a move. Absolutely manic stuff. Hypernova could be back on the podium after all. It goes up on the inside. There's definitely a collision between the Ferrari and the Hypernova and the Alpha. Oh my goodness me, was still racing, going up
Oh,
here.
again.
Going over, spun the car. Absolutely shocking stuff. He's down to
Jai,
P7.
you need to take a drink of water, mate.
I need water. Oh, he's shocking stuff. P1, that following in P1, Pagoo in P2, and Bianchi in P3. I'm spitting everywhere. Simpri in P4, with Atomic Ship in P5, and Sphere Cookie in P6, and Hypernova was lifting this race all the way through, and he's been spun out, and he's at the back in P7 on a 4-stop strategy. What if the sun is out now? Of course it is. Oh, shocking stuff. We've got 4 laps to
Shame
go.
I finished my dinner, to be
under-
honest.
Oh, you can't finish the dinner. We've got 4 laps left, and 2 of those laps we haven't got DRS. On lap 25 and 26 we will have DRS again, and the Red Bulls are still within DRS territory of WRS Simpri. So after all, we could end up here with the Red Bulls back up the order again. It's absolutely manic, and this race has been absolutely unreal. Lap 22 of 26, we start the 23rd lap. I'm going now. He starts his fastest lap here. Dan, oh my god, SV Pagoo is now back in DRS territory, and we could be on for a race win for a Renault out of nowhere here. I don't know what is going on. Can someone do my job for me? I'm going to need 2 weeks off to recover from this. We've got 3.
I was eating my dinner until this all happened.
3 seconds gap between Bianchi and Pagoo, which means Simpri could end up on the podium. He's a brand new driver to Synergy PWR in Season 3 as well, and he's on the brink of a podium here. He's going to be wanting to look for here because Bianchi, I believe, may have front wing damage as well after the collision with Hypernova earlier on. And he goes for a dive on the inside. Simpri nearly getting close with that Ferrari. It's really close, and Atomic Ship is now up the gearbox of WRS Simpri. Surely turn 7 is not overtakeable, so we're going to see the drivers going through formation as there's definitely a touch on the wall of Bianchi, and that is more front wing damage. That's more front wing damage for the Ferrari, and he's holding on to the line.
Getting to him.
And you've got to remember as well, Simpri has a 5-second penalty to add on at the end of this as well because of the collision with Pagoo. So he is going to hold up the line.
Oh, he's lost more.
It's amazing. It's a crash, and there goes Bianchi onto the thing, and a virtual safety car straight away as a result of the crash between Bianchi and WRS Simpri, who was spun out, and we're now under virtual safety car conditions as Bianchi is out of this race, and Ferrari take
the Red Bulls are loving it.
Oh,
the Red Bulls are actually loving it.
and now we have Atomic Ship on the podium, and the Red Bulls are now up to a 3-4, and we've got a virtual safety car out here. It's absolutely shocking. What is going on? I'm dying.
Doctor, how's your heart rate doing?
Oh, thankfully. Oh man, I'm just. Oh. Right, okay, I think we're back here. Lap number 24. We have no safety car, it's only a virtual safety car, so the drivers have got to stick to a delta that is 40% slower. We are back racing again, and we go green at Baku, and it's an amazing opportunity here for BOR Dan because he's just been on the straight when that happened, whereas Pagoo was mid-corner. So here we are, we're going to have Pagoo at Baku, 1.5 seconds back. And here comes Atomic Ship, and we're going to have a battle for the podium between the 2 Red Bulls. No,
don't do this.
Please. We're going to have a short
keep it together now.
The situation is Atomic Ship, and are they both going to speak to each other? Well, they say, look, we're the 2 last remaining constructors here. Let's just take the double points and go home. Ooh. We've got 27 points here potentially here happening. And if I just confirm as well, we have fastest lap in the order of BOR Dan as it stands. So he'll take 26 points as it stands
what
at the
moment.
moment.
He's looking at.
I don't know what the penalties are looking like, and quite honestly I don't care at the moment because anything could happen because Hypernova is now up the rear end of Sphere Cookie. The OGs are fighting for P4. Surely Atomic Ship is going to be in a position to try and help Sphere Cookie out here. Remember, virtual safety car doesn't mean we reset the DRS. I believe we go racing under DRS conditions from the next lap. BOR Dan
it takes a lot of curb through there, don't it, Cookie?
Takes a lot of curb, and I think he lost the rear end a little bit as well to Sphere Cookie in the Red Bull. 0.7 of a second separating him from Atomic Ship, but 0.5 separating Hypernova from Sphere Cookie. So it is an all-out war for that last spot on the podium. Surely Hypernova's going to want to go for it. He was leading this race practically all the way through it. Oh, right. Catch my breath. Lap 25.
Lap you've got 25. Half a lap now to catch your breath.
We've got lap number 25 here now. We've got I'm not sure, I was looking away for a second. Did the DRS enabled come up? I'm sure it did, or did it not?
Yes.
It did, right, okay, so we're under DRS territory now, which means Sphere Cookie and Hypernova are both going to get DRS now on Atomic Ship. Atomic Ship, make note though, Sphere Cookie is in ERS 0. He is not attempting an overtake on Atomic Ship. Atomic Ship has barely any ERS left, as Hypernova is in ERS 2, and he has plenty of ERS to use at the moment.
Same with Cookie.
60% for that matter at the moment, so they've got plenty of DRS to use, and Atomic Ship doesn't, so going down that main straight with DRS detection, Atomic Ship might be off the podium unless he can save as much ERS as he can on this final, but the penultimate lap before that final lap. And we're coming through here. WRS Simpido is now out of the running. He's 38 seconds back. He's going to probably have to consolidate P6 after that accident with AMS Bianchi. But BOR Dan, P1, SV Pagoo gaining time on BOR Dan, now 1.3 seconds. He might not get DRS on this turn, but he might get it again. Sphere Cookie getting close here for P3. Sean's backing Sphere Cookie going through there. The words from himself there. Hypernova really close. So heading through turn 14. The Ship is pulling the wall. And Sphere Cookie getting really close, with Hypernova getting close, and the rest of the field really bunching up here. SV Pagoo is now starting to push the gap. 1.1 seconds as we head on to the final lap. This is the second to the last time we're going to be going down this main straight. SV Pagoo could be on for the win. And we've got gaining, and he's gaining, and he's gaining, and he's gaining as the red at the moment. And here comes Hypernova coming up on the inside. DRS open available, but overtake is going to be open available here going up into turn number 1. Will the Alfa Romeo? He might do. He's going to have to leave space. He's going through there, turn 1. They still go side by side. There's a collision going through there. They go side by side into turn 2 though. And then the Sphere Cookie, and they go close again. Touching, and Hypernova straight back down to P5. SV Pagoo though, going back to that battle happening for P1 though. BOR Dan still can't have a guaranteed win here, because as it stands, the gap is now 1 second. If he gets into DRS, Pagoo could be on for a win here, but Pagoo has used up all of his ERS, going down that main straight, hence the reason why he had so much time. But at this moment in time, BOR Dan is in ERS 3, so he'll have nothing left as Simpri gets the fastest lap of the race, so he'll be taking 8 plus 1 point to him. Really good stuff there from the Haas runner, but we still go now onto this very final lap here in the Division 1 race. What an amazing race as a bit from the start. BOR Dan manages to gain time with Pagoo here. He's a P1 for him, 1.5 seconds, but it's still all to play for that final step on the podium. We will go back to that battle very shortly. We need to go to P1 though, because BOR Dan is on his way here to take victory at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, at Baku. What a race has been from start. Hypernova gets a 5-second penalty for cutting that final corner. That's going to cost him dearly. It doesn't look like he's going to be on the podium this time. It will be a battle between the Red Bulls. We have to go to the Toro Rosso though for P1, because he's about to cross the line, and BOR Dan will take victory at the Azerbaijan race, the Baku race here, and he takes victory, and the Toro Rosso takes 25 and
I don't think he's going to get it.
Will Sphere Cookie be able to make the move? I don't think he will, and it looks like Atomic Ship is going to be able to make the move, and there goes Atomic Ship, and it's P3 for the Red Bull. 5-second penalty unfair for Hypernova. He crashes himself out as he comes across line, and will be disappointed with P5 as well, because he was on for P1. And WRS Simpri will be backing up the 3, and now I'm going to go to bed because I am knackered. Goodbye.
Have you ever seen such a manic race with only 11 drivers?
I've honestly never seen anything like that before in my life. What a race!
As much as I wanted Cookie on the podium, what a race!
From the 11 runners, from everyone here, amazing race from the Division 1 lot today. What an entertainment they put on as they come across the line. And we're finally going to get a podium ceremony, but I'm sure all the people will be like, listen, you've been on the track long enough, we need to get on now, because this is one heck of a race that's just gone on and on and on, and I am knackered after that one, and I'm sure that all the drivers will be as well. It is BOR Dan that takes the top step of the podium from 10th place, might I add. He's won the race and got himself on the top step. In the end, it's P2 for SV Pagoo. That's one of his best results here at Synergy PWR, and a relatively good result from the Red Bull. Atomic Ship managing to get P3, and Sphere Cookie down in P4. He manages to stretch his lead in the championship, because of course Bianchi crashed out on the 23rd lap after an incident with WRS Simpri. Wow, what an amazing sequence of events that is going to turn out to be. We're going to take a final look at the standings before we call it quits here tonight, and it is BOR Dan that takes the top step of the podium, 52 minutes in the end, with SV Pagoo crossing the line for P2, and then Atomic Ship in P3. Sphere Cookie finishes in P4 in the end, a relatively good result for the defending world champion, considering he was on a 3-stop strategy. Might I add, by the way, Atomic Ship managed to get 3rd place on a 5-stop strategy. What a race from him. P5 in the end for Hypernova. He will be disappointed with that because he was leading the race practically all the way through the wet period, and it just fell apart for the Alfa Romeo runner, and he finishes in P5. WRS simply finishes in P6. He made an accident with AMS Bianchi, who finishes in P7 with the DNF. I think he does classify though within the 90% rule. Scartrix in P8 with SV Bradford in P9. PWR Jenigush in P10, and of course Hoonigan needing to retire early on because of personal circumstances. Wow. That's it. We can finally move on from Baku. Some people will pretend it never happened. Some people will be happy that it happened. That is why we have full damage here rather than simulation. What a race it has been. We move on to the next race at Spain, where we're back to simulation damage, and drivers will be looking forward to that one. Well, so we are going to wrap it up for here tonight. Thank you very much to SF1 Shawns and Vicolas for being in the commentary box with me tonight.
It's alright. I enjoyed it.
Thank you very much, and we will see you, as said, next week, same time as usual, Tuesday night 7 p.m, Wednesday night 7 p.m, for the Spanish Grand Prix. But for myself and the rest of the Synergy PWR Media team, it's bye for now.